First, I want to give everyone a quick introduction. I'm Peter with ClassWorx and with Find It. ClassWorx is a directory listing where anyone who hosts any virtual events can list their events on ClassWorx, tie it to their Zoom account and their Stripe account if it's a paid for event. This is an event that ClassWorx is doing where we interview CEOs, presidents of companies, or it could be anybody, but also yoga instructors and different people that are doing virtual learning can use ClassWorx as a platform to connect with new people that they otherwise wouldn't connect with. All right, so today our guest is Charles Strongo from Global WholeHealth Corporation. And I want to welcome Charles. And Charles, why don't we just start with, give us a little bit of a background, the story behind Global WholeHealth Partners and what got it started. I think the story is always interesting.
Sure. Well, I've been in the industry since the mid-90s. So I've been working with diagnostic tests when they first came out under first over-the-counter pregnancy tests in the mid-90s, 94, 95, 96. And then we worked and created the ovulation tests and then drug testing and then all your wonderful tests that we have today, from strep A, influenza, mononucleosis, you name it. There's a test for it that's been around since probably late 90s, early 2000s. And then, of course, as new developments of new diseases come out or new ways of technology for us to create new tests or work and developing new tests, now we have over 100 different types of tests. And we have a factory in San Diego that we've been working with since 1995. And we have another facility in Escondido. And our goal was always try to be ahead of everyone in a sense of trying to create tests that maybe nobody else has or create a better test. And we worked with the Chinese government on SARS-1. We developed a test called MERS for Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome, which is similar to a SARS. It is a coronavirus. So we have a test for that. We have one for people, one for camels, which is called camel fever. And then we've developed a different variety of different tests in that realm. We created a test for Zika, a rapid test for Zika, a rapid test for Ebola. So one of our newest, not newest, but ones that we're developing, we have is called, it's a rapid test for tuberculosis. A drop of blood, we can tell within 6 minutes if a person has had tuberculosis or has it presently. These are tests that are developed for the US, but not necessarily for sale here. Made here under FDA guidelines and rules, but really for the rest of the world. You figure there's 330 million people in the United States and over about 7 billion people around the world. And many people do not have the luxuries that we do in the sense of the ability to go to physicians or have clinics available. So we wanted our tests to be able to move forward, to go into areas where it's not that easy. So we try to make them as less expensive as possible with the highest quality so that way they're accurate, where we can actually help save lives. And that was the birth of the understanding of how we wanted to create diagnostic tests. So we have over 100 different tests now that are very good for the US in many cases, and many that are not, would not be used here, but used throughout the world.
Okay. So who, speaking about the test kits and kind of brushing over, obviously people use your products, they're the end user, but who's the company's main customers? Who buys from you guys the test kits?
In many cases, it's outside the US, it's going to be governments and hospitals. We have signed contracts just this last week. And so as it was announced a while ago that we partnered with a company called Menzi Pharmaceutical, who had their contracts. And that was an announcement made last week. And what we do is we deal with companies or distributors that have contacts in other countries that deal with hospitals or clinics. In the United States, our main focus are not hospitals, which is kind of funny. In other countries, it's hospitals. Here, It's not as much as hospitals, but more of your urgent cares, your physicians, independent physicians. Hospitals have a different type of regulation and protocol, and they still use a very old school methodology on testing in many cases. So it doesn't, to change a hospital's protocol in the US is very difficult. It can be beneficial, it can save lives and save money, but not necessarily, it's not going to happen quickly. So we deal with urgent cares, community health centers, doctors' offices here in the US. And the rest of the world that we're trying to deal with now is we're dealing with hospitals because their protocol shifts quickly. It's a lot more fluid.
Are your products allowed to be carried in hospitals? It's just the distribution and the red tape to get them in there. You have to go.
Yeah, the hospitals carry. I mean, there are a few hospitals. The Hoag Hospital in Newport Beach does rapid influenza testing, and they do a rapid TB test in their urgent cares and in their ER. But someone comes in sick, especially now, they're doing a rapid test. But a lot of the other hospitals, and they were not using a rapid influenza test for a long time. They're taking throat swab, try to run a culture, it takes a long time. And this is a test that's been around and FDA approved for 15 years. So some of the tests we have been around for a long time, and therefore they have been verified by many uses through physicians and other groups. So when you have a rapid influenza test, we can tell, within 8 minutes if a person has the flu or not, or a rapid strep A test, which is now common, which we tell within 8 to 10 minutes if a person has strep A, rather than a culture and waiting 3 days. Same technology is used in what everyone is the hot topic is COVID. It's the same technology, lateral flow antibody test or antigen test. That's it. I mean, it's the technology is the same.
Excuse me, are individuals able to purchase a lot of these test kits themselves, or do they have to go through an urgent care? Because I could see really like an individual really benefiting from being able to take a rapid test to see if they have the flu rather than going to urgent care.
It would be amazingly wonderful if the FDA would allow that.
Okay.
In other countries, the answer is yes. In Mexico,
Okay.
yes. In the Philippines, yes. They realize that it's better for a person to go spend $9 or on a test, do a quick swab and find out if they have the flu, than going and spending 6 hours in the clinic or 8 hours in a clinic with a bunch of other people who may be sick, where they can really compound their sickness to find out if they have it or not. In the US, it's not. We have one of the largest lines of over-the-counter tests. We do have, of course, pregnancy, ovulation, menopause. We have total cholesterol testing, HDL cholesterol testing. We have a type 2 diabetic test to find out if you're a diabetic or not, the same fasting test that you use in physician's office. We have a colorectal cancer or fecal occult blood over the counter. These are all been approved by the FDA where people can buy for themselves. So when someone
I want some clarity on. So you're saying on the tests that you were just describing that are approved by the FDA, those tests people can buy them.
Yes,
okay.
They can buy online. They can buy online, or they can buy at grocery stores. Not very many people have them. There's no other company that has as many as we do. We will be having that online available on our website where you can actually buy to find out. People are checking for colorectal cancer. We have a test that's a clean test that they can test to find out if there's blood in the stool without getting dirty. We have a test to find out if a person's borderline type 2 diabetic, the same fasting test that you use. That's a 2-test test, and the instructions are all been approved by the FDA. These are tests you can buy and do individually at home. You want to keep track of your cholesterol, you can test your cholesterol, your total cholesterol, which is important. Am I over 200? Am I under 200? Or you want to find out what your HDL is, which is your high density. You want to know how high that is, because that's important, because higher your HDL is, better off you are. So you have a lot of different tests that we make available that are over the counter. We have 11 of them that are over the counter approved.
So with the with the update that you were just saying that it'll be available online, individuals will literally be able to go to the website or a website and be able to purchase the test kits themselves and have them shipped to them.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay,
Now,
and then
we're
wholesale.
trying to keep that price, we call a wholesale price.
Okay,
So we're trying to keep it low, so they're not paying $12 for a pregnancy test like they would in the store. They're going to be paying a lot less, like 70% off of that or 80% off of that. The reason why is we want to keep it inexpensive so more people can be testing themselves, number one. The only difference they're going to lose out on is the prettiness. They're going to get it like a wholesale. They're going to get it with the test, with the insert, but it's not going to come in a pretty box with, you know, 6 color process and glossy box. We could do that, but then the cost ends up going up to 300% because of the cost of the box and the cost of the labor and all that. So we want to keep it quick, easy, simple, and inexpensive, where people can actually acquire more tests to help themselves without costing them a lot of money.
and the results are the same regardless of the pretty box.
The science is the same. It's
Right.
just taking that test, putting it into a pretty box, and selling it over the counter. So we
I
want
mean,
to
literally something like this right now, the way you're describing this is going to be out there. You can let people know what you just did on the
Yes.
website with the short video and say, this is the exact same thing that comes in a box with colors and stuff. So that's good.
Exactly.
So making that available to anyone pretty much, if there's a certain age that they have to opt into, where do you see the company going? I kind of want to touch on the last 13 months, what's happened with COVID and how has it, what's happened with COVID and your company, Global. Has there been any outcomes for you as a result of this?
Well, it's helped us. We jumped on it right away because it's something. This is another one of our tests. Unlike a lot of companies, it was, oh my gosh, we have a pandemic. Let's make something new. You know, we're a dentist company now. Let's become a COVID manufacturer. Unfortunately, that happened a lot. But the manufacturers that have been doing diagnostic testing for a long time, this was just another coronavirus. So we created a test for it. We have some international sales. The US has been a little difficult to work with for us because we're small, and that's no excuse. It's just the way it works out. So what we did is, because of our relationships that we have with other companies, we've been able to partner, which of these announcements were made a while ago, with
Right.
some of the other ones who had EUA authorizations. So now we are able, because we can partner with them, we actually manufacture some of their tests in our facility. Therefore, we use their EUA, and we're able to sell it competitively, much cheaper than normal, just because we actually manufacture their test. Because we are a GMP approved facility and we are a GMP approved FDA company, we're able to do a lot more. So instead of fighting through to try to get through, we ended up partnering with the ones who already had it and said, okay, we'll make it for you. And we start making tests.
How does Global WholeHealth Partners moving forward, how do you guys acquire new clients?
Right now, we've been acquiring our clients through distribution, distributors word of mouth.
Okay.
Shortly, we're going to be using campaigns through the internet campaigns through I think your company, and also
Right.
there's another company that is they just do what they call network group or something, social media, and it's a little different, but we'll be using your company to help us market our product and the company.
With Find It, yeah.
We Find It.
So if a wholesaler listens to the video later, or if any wholesalers are on now, they can reach out to you and say, I currently have 140 urgent care facilities that I already sell products to. They could then buy from you and sell to them. Does it work that way?
Yes. And they are, all the tests we have now are all EUA authorized for the US. So everything we're selling presently is approved here in the US.
Okay, and then the things that are able to sell out of the US, whether it's Mexico, Europe, Asia,
Right.
you guys can distribute there as well.
Yes.
So where do you see the growth of your company then shorter term, like let's say in the next 12 months and over the next 36 months, if you, and I don't mean necessarily projected numbers. I mean, what's the game plan?
Well, it's kind of funny. We are a US based company, manufacturing in San Diego, California. But I see our growth is international. I mean, you always keep your foot on the heartbeat of the US because there's sales and money here. A lot of companies come here to make money, and we will always be selling in the United States. But our products are also very accepted around the world, and we are pushing into a lot of areas that a lot of companies won't go. Some of the bigger companies won't go into them because the profit margins are not as much. And for us, they're fine because we don't have a lot of overhead. We're not running 22% overhead. Our overhead's almost zero. We run a very tight ship. So we can sell it for cheaper and make the same profit margins, and therefore go into other areas like Mexico and the Philippines and Bangladesh and areas there where the economics are not the same as here in South America. So we're actually pushing forward into international sales and not necessarily European. We're going into areas that people need a dengue fever test and tuberculosis tests and different types of tests that we do carry that are rare and unique, that fit their profile and what their needs are, and be able to sell them a good FDA test made here in the United States for a very inexpensive price and help save lives, but at the same time make money.
Right. So as far as global whole health partners, what's the, you are a public company, right? So what's the symbol
Yes.
on your company?
GWHP.
And if people want to find out information, I know that you mentioned the Nunzia News. I saw that come out the other day. I know that the news releases are underneath. If you go to Yahoo, when you type that in, all of your previous news releases and all your public information is between Yahoo and OTC Markets. What do you want people to know that maybe they don't know and you're allowed to discuss about global whole health that maybe you know about it, you take it for granted because you've been doing this for so long, you think everyone else would understand it, but maybe they just don't know, and you could shed some light on something. Like I know with my business, or when I speak to developers, they automatically think like, well, people should just know this because in their world, they all know it. And I'm just curious, like with everything that you've got going on with the distribution, everything that's happening with COVID, everything with all these rapid test kits, this is just me personally, I have no data to back this up. I think now that people are really conscious of so many new things in the last 13 months, I see a lot more people being opened to getting test kits that they can do this stuff at home.
Yes.
I really just see that opening up, like just go online and see if you can get the test kit there, and not even leave the house to go get it.
Yes, you're exactly right. And that's why we have such a large line of products over the counter. In all of our filings, we don't there's certain analysis we can put out without an 8K filing. But if you notice that most of our major announcements all have 8K filings. And so we, as a small public company, we have kept ourselves squeaky clean in the sense of proper announcements, proper information, proper disclosure to the SEC. And the reason why we do that is because the company has a lot of potential. And the potential in a sense that we have one of the largest, I can't say the largest because I know a lot of companies, but because I've been doing this for so long, and I could say one of the largest, if not the largest, line of different types of products. And by doing that, our main focus now is not to stop developing tests, but to slow down on the development of tests, keep ourselves ahead, because I think we're pretty far ahead now, and in the development, and then begin to focus on sales and marketing and push. As you noticed that not too long ago, last week, a new test was brought in through new intellectual property that the company has picked up. And it's a test for a specific lack of an enzyme in the brain cell, which has been well documented by Rush Medical School and Albert Einstein Medical School. It's actually the contract and the 8K filing were filed with the SEC, and the announcement was made. But the lack of the specific enzyme is a precursor to dementia and to Parkinson's disease. So we keep ourselves ahead by still developing new tests, but at the same time, we need to start focusing on, we're pushing for the sales, and that's why we've hired, marketing companies to help us do that.
So that release, I just pulled it up. That's why I was turning. So that's the one that came out on April 20th, I think, about the medical breakthrough.
Yes.
Okay. So if anyone wants to see it, if they go to Yahoo and they type in the company stock symbol, April 20th is the press release that I believe Charles is referencing.
Yes.
And very interesting. I was reading that over the weekend, and this morning I was reading the Nunzio release as well. Is there anything else you'd like to share with not only the people here, but the people who are going to be watching over the next few months on YouTube?
Well, the most important thing I think about Global is that our growth and the tests that we produce were made for work, yes, in US, but also for the world. Our tests are not as heat sensitive. In other words, they can withstand higher temperatures. The reagents can be kept in room temperature. They can be kept outside. So there's no refrigeration required. We develop tests for the world. We develop tests globally with an understanding that more people we can test, more lives we can save. And for us, we want to stay on the cutting edge of new development and new technology, but at the same time, now we're focusing on the growth and expansion of the company in sales and marketing.
So it sounds like the what you just described too is we've got all these products already. We need to really start getting these out to the people that need
That's
them,
exactly right.
that can be helped by these products, and we need to let them know who we are and where they can find us so that we can get these people, the people that need these products, the products. Your phone number is available online. Is it okay if I give it out in case anyone wants to reach out to you from a wholesale standpoint as far as distribution goes? It's listed on the press releases. If you don't want me to give it out, they can just go to the website.
Yeah, that's fine. They can go on. They can give out my phone number. That's fine.
So to contact Charles, it's 949-324-6691. And the website address is GWHcorp.com. Want to thank you, Charles, for joining us this morning. I know it's earlier out there than it is here. Really appreciate it. If there's anything you'd like to end with.
It's GWHPcorp.com.
I'm sorry, it's GWHPcorp.com. I'm on it every day and I apologize.
No problem.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Everyone, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. And girls, if there's anyone on here, thank you so much, Charles, for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you again. Bye-bye.